Welcome into On Deck. I'm Tyler Redmond. As always, thank you so much for checking out the channel. I do appreciate it. While you're here, make sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and of course, hit the bell for notifications so that you can stay up to date with everything going on here at On Deck, and of course, with the Atlanta Braves. And the Braves are, of course, finished up the series with the Dodgers today. Didn't go the Braves' way. Of course, the Dodgers took it 2-1. But there was a lot of good in this series for the Braves. There was a lot of changes for the Braves, and I think this is one of the most important series in the season thus far, even though we're pretty early on in the season. So, Game 1. Let's talk about Game 1. I told you we did a live right before Game 1, before it started, and it went about the way I thought. To tell you the truth, it wasn't pretty, but again, went as expected. Considering that, Huascar Ynoa has struggled all year long, was still battling, the return since he broke his hand, and he was facing off against a guy who had, potentially could have thrown a perfect game, in his previous start, and a future Hall of Famer in Clayton Kershaw. I had a feeling that it was going to be rough. Little did I know what I was in store for, because he got beat up as early as the second hitter, and it would be none other than former Atlanta Braves first baseman Freddie Freeman taking him deep. And I think a lot of us were not so much surprised, because I think we all had a sneaky suspicion that something like this could happen. I don't think we expected to be in the first at-bat, though. So it was downhill from there after Freddie went deep. The offense couldn't keep up with what the Dodgers were able to do against Huascar, and he couldn't buy an out. He couldn't slow traffic. His biggest problem is obviously going to be consistency there. Got good stuff on some pitches, not on others. The results just aren't there. In the fourth inning, down 3, Brian Snitker goes to the pen, and it was a move that a lot of people didn't like. A lot of people didn't like this move. He got Newcomb out of the pen to come in. He immediately walked Freddie to load the bases, and then gave up a clean hit to Trey Turner, which scored 3 runs. So a lot of people didn't like this move. Again, the Braves went for being down 3, which is attainable in a game, to being down 6, and that kind of puts a damper on any game to be down 6 runs, obviously, no matter how early in the game it is. So if you're wondering just how questioned that move out of the pen has been, even David O'Brien expressed his disagreement with the decision to Brian Snitker in post-game. This is from Justin Toscano. He said, this is David O'Brien speaking, though, to Snit, "Did you like the matchup with Newcomb?" And Snit put it pretty bluntly, and he said, "As opposed to who?" DOB said, "Frankly, I'd list a few guys, in the bullpen over Nuke." And this is what Snit said. He said, "In the 4th inning, if I do that, Minter and Will Smith will be dead by the 1st of May." So to be fair, I think even David O'Brien has taken a step back from this conversation. But I still think a lot of fans questioned this move at the time. Let me just state, and I hate that I even have to talk about this, I am going to defend Brian Snitker here. I think this was the best move he had available. I think he needed somebody to go a couple of innings, possibly. Newcomb has been a starter before. And to be honest with you guys, it's April. It's April. So my opinion on it is this. It's early in the season. You need to know whether or not Newcomb's going to be a guy you can count on. We don't have very many lefties in the pen anyway. You need to know if Newcomb's going to be someone you can count on. And he gave Newcomb a chance. I've seen a lot of talk about it. I've seen a lot of disagreements with it. I don't mind it, because, again, you're down 3. Do you really want to waste Matzik in that spot, or Minter, or Smith, or Jansen, or really anyone? I mean, Strider. Do you want to waste any of those guys in that spot? I'll be honest with you, no, especially knowing that you have 2 more games in this series to follow against this same team. I would much rather, and it's not so much throwing a game. I don't think that's the right way to put it, but I would much rather put out a guy who could potentially cover 2 innings with hopefully minimal damage, and it just didn't go the Braves' way. So with that said, you gave Newcomb a chance because it is April. You do know that roster's got to be cut soon. Give him his chance, and then, make a decision, which the Braves did. Shortly after, they sent Huascar Ynoa down to AAA, and they let Newcomb go. They DFA'd Newcomb. He has not been picked up yet, based on what I've heard. but it wouldn't surprise me if he is. He very well could be back on the Braves, within the Braves organization if he's not. I think somebody's more likely going to give Sean Newcomb a chance, though. But again, save the best for the best opportunity to win. Of course, Game 2, a lot better going. First off, d'Arnaud put the Braves on the board early with a big homer. We love that. Wish they did that more. I wish they scored early more and gave the bullpen some help, because to be honest with you, the way I see it, with the bullpen we have, if you get ahead, they're not going to throw away a 2 or 3 run lead very easily. And I think that if the Braves scored early, they'd be able to win a lot more games as of right now. But Fried obviously saved the pen a lot. I think Fried did a lot of favors for Brian Snitker after Game 1, after he had to use a lot of the pen. He went perfect through 5 and scoreless through 7. Doesn't get much better than that. A great start followed by suitable bullpen work, only giving up 1 run, led to the Braves winning. So we like Game 2. Today obviously didn't go the Braves' way. Charlie Morton is still developing. I think we're just now getting past the spring training time frame. So you're seeing starting pitchers really get tuned in. I think Charlie Morton's still sort of battling that. Not to mention the leg injury that we all know he had last year. That's obviously going to have an effect on it. And I think that it very well still may, and it's not something you're going to hear about. It's not something that's going to be talked about. As far as Charlie Morton's going to speak on it, more than likely he's going to say he's 100%. He's not a guy to make excuses, right? And I'm glad he's not. But there is still some hangover there. I think he's got to get some more tune-up games. I think this was one of those tune-up games, but you're seeing improvements. And Charlie Morton's a veteran. It doesn't get much better than Charlie Morton on the mound, no matter what the situation is. So that's how I feel about the series with the Dodgers. The takeaways from it are that, there's things changing. There's definitely some changes being made. Obviously, Huascar Ynoa and Sean Newcomb are the 2 biggest ones. Sean Newcomb potentially done with the Braves if he doesn't, unless he gets picked up on waiver, or unless he doesn't get picked up on waivers. And then, Huascar Ynoa again sent down to the minors. And I like what Kelly Kroll said. Kelly Kroll did basically like a in-game report from the field, and said that Brian Snitker felt that he needed more consistent innings and more work, and he needs to work on his consistency. And hopefully what we see is exactly what Kelly Kroll said, is a Kyle Wright type improvement. Hopefully that's the case. I don't know if it's going to be that way, but there's some obvious takeaways. I know everybody's excited about Ronald Acuna coming back potentially as early as May 6th. I'm just as excited. I'm ready for it too. I think it's going to be a big lift offensively. But offensively, we're still having issues. I will say that it's nice to see Eddie Rosario's bat somewhat come to life. I definitely think the Dodgers were the right team at the right time based on what we saw Rosario do last year in the postseason against them. And maybe, he knows the struggles he's having, and maybe he's finally starting to improve. Hopefully that's the case. But the Braves have got to do something offensively. They've got to, be able to. They only scored 1 run today, right? That's not going to win ball games. So as many problems as we're having, in terms of the pitching, we're having just as many in the offensive side of things too. So hopefully both of those can flip on a dime and change the route they're going. But for right now, it's been pretty difficult for the Atlanta Braves. So that's how I feel about the Dodgers series. The good news is what lies ahead, because if I'm not mistaken, I believe the Braves take on the Marlins next at home. So they're coming home from the road trip, which is always a good sign. And I think that that will obviously help. The change of scenery, I think, is always a good thing for a team that's off and on. And look, this is nothing new. Last year, think about how off and on the Braves were. They would win a game, lose a game, win a game, lose a game. And I think we're starting to see a little bit of that now. But again, they play the Marlins at home. That starts Friday at 7:20. They have a 3-game series with them, and then they play the Cubs, who, if you're excited about playing the Marlins, you should be just as excited about playing the Cubs, because they're not a very good team right now. The Rangers, then they follow suit with the Mets. So what I hope is that by facing the Marlins, the Cubs, and then the Rangers, they can get a lot of tune-up at-bats. They can get, not to say easy at-bats, but they can get a lot more less strenuous at-bats from these teams and from these pitchers of these teams. Hopefully that's the case, so they can gear up and be ready to go for the Mets, because that's the team that we have a 4-game series against, and we need to show up big so that we can get ahead in the division. But that's the case right now. The Braves are currently tied for second last I checked in terms of the National League East. Nope, they fell to third today, but the Nationals still have a game to play. So they are 4 games back. Don't let that discourage you. That doesn't mean the end of the world. We are still in April. There's plenty of time to come back and make a. I mean, look, that's 4 games. You have a 4-game series with the Mets coming up. It can change on a dime. So hopefully that's the case. But yeah, the Braves definitely got to make some improvements. And the Dodgers look good. The Dodgers are the Dodgers. The Braves need to be what the 2021 Braves were, and right now they are not. So hopefully that changes. First off, going to go ahead and go into the comments section. See, we got a super chat from Jonathan Collins. Jonathan's a good buddy of mine. I really do appreciate that, Jonathan. Good to hear from you, and hope you guys are having fun at Second Story tonight. All right, so let's talk about William Fulgham. He says, no need to panic. There are a lot of changes before the All-Star break, 1 series at a time. I completely agree with you, William, but I do think that there is some things that got to be noticed, right? We got to notice you got to take notice of the offensive problems. You got to take notice of Enoa's consistence problem, and you got to take notice of Sean Newcomb, right? I think we've all been very aware of Sean Newcomb. Obviously, the Twitter reaction is, acted very positively since he left. I'm not going to be that outspoken about it. There's definitely a problem there. But in my eyes, it's a problem that solely remains on the baseball field. It's not a personal problem. It's a baseball problem. And I get I get the reluctance to pitch him in that spot. But at the same time, we're talking about human beings. So for me, when it comes to Sean Newcomb, I was at his game where he almost threw the no-hitter. I was there in left field. So from my perspective, I've always wanted Sean Newcomb to do well because, frankly, I was there and I saw it. But at the same time, he's never really hit anything else beyond that, and that was almost 4 years ago or more. So, with Sean Newcomb, there's definitely a need to move on. I was surprised that, the only reason he was on the Major League roster is because he was out of options, right? And I think we all know that. I think we're all very aware of that. I mean, you look at the opening day roster, and where it was at the time, Sean Newcomb was a guy that, I said he's probably going to be on there, and a lot of people didn't understand it, and it was because of the options. The options matter. Huascar Ynoa has options. That's why he's been sent down and is given another shot. It's because he has options. And, you don't want to waste them, but Sean Newcomb's out of those options. Sean Newcomb's been given he's been given his opportunity, has been given as many chances as he's allotted, and he hasn't been able to perform with it. So, if you're a Sean Newcomb fan, hopefully he clears waivers and he comes back to the Braves. But as of right now, I got a feeling another team's going to pick him up because lefties out of the pen are always valuable. And beyond that, besides that, Jacob Webb was picked up by the Arizona Diamondbacks. Same situation. The Braves DFA'd him, and he was picked up by the Diamondbacks. Jacob Webb's another one of those guys that has good stuff at times. I remember a couple of years ago, the dude was dominant out of the pen. He couldn't be touched, and he just hasn't been that guy. And he's out of options, and the Braves had to move on. And we all understand it. We all get it. But, it's an unfortunate situation. But that's baseball. That's business, and we got to move on. Thanks for that, William. Wilmer says, Enoa simply isn't good enough to be up. I would say, as much as I agree with you, I would say that maybe right now, but we've seen Enoa. We have seen Enoa be great. We have seen him be consistent. We have seen him at the top of his game as late as, the beginning of last year. And I don't think that needs to be forgotten, right? He is, think about how well Kyle Wright's doing right now. And think about how you would feel if Kyle Wright just had 3 games where he didn't have it, right? For me, it's hard to just react strongly, based on a couple of starts or based on, 1 or 2 little things. And with Enoa, I think Enoa's still got time to figure it out. And that's what's important here. Huascar, as much as he's struggled, has also been very good and has good stuff. It's the consistency that lacks. And, maybe he's a bullpen guy. Maybe that's what he is. I don't think he's been able to find his role since he left. He needs consistent innings, and in a 6-man rotation, that's, it's tough to get. It just is. And hopefully he can go down to Gwinnett, figure it out, and work on it and test some things with low-risk situations and really, come back and be ready to go again. But as of right now, I definitely think it was time for him to go down. and take another look at things and maybe give someone else a chance. So again, I'm rooting for Huascar Ynoa. I think he's got all the potential in the world to, be a starter of the future. But as of right now, I think his best bet's in the minors, and there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. Mark Perez says our offense doesn't seem to have their mojo yet. The only ones that seem to have the mojo, to me, if we're going to use that word, are Ozzy Albies, Marcelo Zuna, and Matt Olson, and I would throw in Austin Riley there too. They've all been firing off on all cylinders, but it's that back end of the lineup, man. It's just not there. Eddie Rosario, I mentioned him. He's finally coming into some kind of, gear where he's hitting the ball. I like the fact that he tried to bunt last night. I thought that was, nice to see because he knows he's struggling. He knows as much as we do that he's struggling. It's no secret. But we expected Rosario to come in and be the guy that he was in this moment right here, right? We expected Rosario to come in and just dominate at the plate. And it doesn't always go that way, right? I was hoping that he would be one of our most consistent bats. He still very well could be. It's so early on in the season. And I don't like making excuses for players, but the shortened spring training is not good for them. It's just not. You can't convince me that it's not having an effect all across baseball, much less Eddie Rosario. So, that's how I feel. I think if he got on the ball a little bit more, it'd be a lot better. I think he could, Acuna coming back is going to be a big lift to the lineup, but if Eddie can get back to Eddie form, that's going to be just as big of a boost as anything. What's important, and I've said this before, but I'm glad to say it again, what's important here to me is that the two guys that really needed that big start, like we Eddie's not going to lose, fans for a couple of games not getting hits, right? Or even as much as he's done. He's not going to lose fans based on what he did last year. But Marcelo Zuna needed to get back into the good graces of Braves fans. And I think he's been able to do that so far into the season, right? With all of what happened last year, he needed to get to a point where he was performing. And I'm glad to say that he seems to have done it. Or at least early on, he needed that early start, right? And I think we can all agree there. Matt Olson's another one of those guys that I think needed a good start because of all the talk about replacing Freddie Freeman and all of the hype around him and the fact that he has, almost, I think, 8 years on his contract. I mean, all of that, like there had to be some kind of justification for that. And I think the fact that he was able to get out in front of that and, perform early on is only going to help him. So those two guys specifically getting a great early start is important. And I don't think we should move past that. But then you have the Rosarios, you have the Dansbys. We can go all day long talking about how Dansby Swanson hasn't done well. And I keep seeing those comments. Again, I think a lot of it is a shortened spring training. And you can also, tell me they're playoff hungover or World Series hungover, whatever word you want to use. There's a lot of hype around them. And there's a lot of motivation to perform and be what they were in the postseason. It doesn't always go that way. It just doesn't. And I don't think it's something that over a 162 you're going to see. I don't think you're going to see Rosario have a Chris Davis type downfall. I mean, I just don't think that, it's a possibility, but I don't think it's probable. Like you look at the back of Rosario's baseball card, it's going to be somewhere within that. That's how I view it. And, maybe even better. But as of right now, I mean, it's definitely a slump, if to say the least. But I got asked about this the other day, and if I stand by it, and I went back and looked at it because I misquoted what I said. It was a tweet that I tweeted, and I said that during the ring ceremony, you could hear Double A say, you could read his lips, John Boy style if you wanted to, you could hear Double A tell Rosario that he was the best trade he ever made. And I said, I was being sarcastic, but I said, I don't care if he goes 0 for 700 this year. He's right. And what I meant by that was, in the context of the trade alone, we traded Pablo Sandoval for a guy that became the NLCS MVP. So, yeah, I stand by that tweet. Now, in terms of this year, obviously I don't want him to go 0 for 700. However, the trade was great. And the fact that you re-signed him is important. And I don't think that should be overlooked. But, hopefully they settle in and we can move back to where we were. But, yeah, you're right on you hit the nail right on the head there, Mark. They haven't seemed to find their mojo yet. Hopefully they do. All right, Derek Smith is tuning in. He says starters will settle in, and then that Acuna guy comes back. I don't know that Acuna guy. He says no panic yet, just labored breathing. Yeah, I think a lot of it's, it's not a panic. I think a lot of people are just frustrated. I think a lot of people are like, we were so good last year, and now we don't have Jock Peterson. We don't have Jorge Soler, so a lot of the excitement is gone. Guys, baseball's different, right? It's just different. Football, you got to perform once a week. Baseball, you got to perform every single day, and it's a marathon. It just is. And, the Mets are doing well right now, right? But on the flip side of that, perspective is everything. Because from the Mets point of view, from a Mets fan point of view, they're like, let's just not tank again. Because that's what they did last year. From a Phillies point of view, from a Phillies fan point of view, I don't know what they did today, but before today, they had only won one game. They were 1-5. Right? Who would you rather be? I would much rather be the Atlanta Braves sitting right in the middle of the pack with a chance to break out at any point, because this offense is going to break out. Like, I don't have a doubt in the world that this offense is going to break out and do things. I mean, you're talking about an offense that's, Travis d'Arnaud, Adam Duvall, or throughout the middle of that lineup. Marcell Ozuna, Austin Riley, right? Like, these are names that have performed over the past few years and have only gotten, Austin Riley's only gotten better. Marcell Ozuna seems to be what he was in 2020. And so far, you can't ask for much more. Matt Olson, I don't know if it's still the case, but he was leading in batting average as of yesterday. Marcell Ozuna was leading in homers as of 2 days ago. So your offense, there's problems with it up and down the lineup, but you have good moments. The stat that I think is staggering, when d'Arnaud hit the homer, that was the 16th homer the Braves have hit. 15 of those were solos, right? That's the problem. You're not having traffic on bases. You're not getting on. And I like the aggressiveness. I like, the aggressiveness around the base paths. But the problem is you can't be aggressive on the base paths if nobody's on the base path, right? And it's difficult. The Braves have always, for the past couple of years, have hit a lot of homers. But when you don't have guys getting on, that's why I thought Eddie Rosario was so important, to get back, is because we can't just have everybody be hitting homers. We can't be completely home run reliant, because some days it's just not there, right? And that's why I valued Rosario over Soler. And Rosario picked up a couple of hits last night, and I think that's great. I think it needs to happen more. I think we need more guys like him getting on base to set up for Marcell Ozuna driving a ball over the wall, or really anybody throughout the lineup that does it, right? Anybody in our lineup can hit a home run, but we should not be completely home run reliant. And I think, with the DH especially, the Braves lineup has the potential to be the best lineup in baseball, when you get Acuna back. And I'll stand by that, because, there's been a lot of talk about Dickerson, but guys, that's temporary. Don't hang your head too much on Dickerson, because the best case for Dickerson is that he is a bench bat. I mean, that's the best case. And it wouldn't surprise me if he got sent down once Acuna comes back. It just wouldn't. Acuna is more than likely going to DH when he gets back. I mean, he's been playing the outfield in the minors, though, in his rehab assignment. So, I don't know what the situation is going to be exactly, but for right now, I mean, Acuna is coming back sooner rather than later is what it seems like. And I don't, necessarily know that. They talked about it on MLB Network this morning, and, Mark DeRosa went through pretty much the same injury. He goes, I think he should wait 12 months. That would put him back about July or August, but he said, I think he should wait. I don't think he should rush it. But Ronald Acuna, it seems ready to go based on everything I keep seeing. And he could be back, on May 6th. He could be back on May 12th. Who knows? But he is coming back, and when that happens, I think the offense is naturally going to get a big lift. But there are good things to notice, and I don't think we should just skip over that. So moving on, going to talk to Blake. Thanks for tuning in, buddy. I appreciate it. He says the Braves were trying to give him. Okay, I'm sorry. He says that the Braves were trying to give Sean Newcomb all of the chances possible. I completely agree with you. I mean, look, he was out of options. I think ultimately the Sean Newcomb was a failed experiment this year. I think they had every right to give him a chance. and it didn't work out. I'm not going to say it backfired. I think we all sort of knew what to expect out of Sean Newcomb, or seemed to know what we were getting, this year. But it just hasn't panned out for Sean Newcomb, and I hate it because at one time he was right there with, Fultonevich, Soroka, in the future of what the starting rotation was going to be. And those three guys specifically were very good at that time. They were the future, and we all know how Fultonevich has turned out. He's probably done in the majors, and Soroka's been out 2 years, and now Sean Newcomb, is probably done with the Braves as well. So it stinks to see how it's turned out based on all the potential that was there, but at the same time, you're right. The chances were given, and they weren't acted upon really. You hate to see it, but at the same time, I understand why the Braves are doing what they got to do. Let's see what we got. Let's see. Spartan King says, it's so early in the season, guys. Stay the course. Completely agree. And again, they're doing good things, right? They are doing good things. And I don't think that needs to be forgotten. Matt Olson has looked great. Marcell Ozuna looked great. Ozzie Albies looked great. And Austin Riley's looked good. By the way, he was on the paternity list today, and I see in the chat that Travis Demeritte got the call. Congratulations, to Travis Demeritte for getting the call. And let's also talk about Austin. Congrats for having a kid. So that's obviously a good thing to see. Wish Austin had been in the lineup today. Not gonna lie, but I'll let it slide for one day, I guess. Wilmer says Newcomb has been a mental case for years. I don't know what it is, I really don't, because with Newcomb, it's like some days he's good, some innings he's good, and the next he's not. I mean, I think you're right. I definitely think it's mental because the ability was there not that long ago, so it's hard to know. But hopefully, look, I wish the best for him. I hope he gets picked up by somebody in the American League, hopefully, and goes on to have a great career. But I don't think it was going to work out for Atlanta, and I think he's well liked. Within the Atlanta clubhouse. And so, I don't think it's something that anybody wished upon him. It was time. Mark Perez says, we need Acuna to get here quick. He's on a mission, I'll tell you that. He is on a mission in the minor leagues. Obviously, he hit that big double off the wall, and he's been catching a lot of headlines since he's been down there. So I hope it's soon, but I hope it's not too soon. Jake Hobby says, who gets sent down when rosters are shorter? Stevens and Elder. I haven't looked at the roster, Jake, to tell you the truth. It's hard for me to say Bryce. I think Dickerson's one of them. Maybe Stevens. But it's hard to say right now. I definitely think Dickerson or somebody on the bench is one of them. But I'd have to. I haven't taken an updated look at the roster here in the past week or so. So let me get back to you on that. But for right now, the only one I'm really confident in is probably Dickerson. I told you in the last stream that I thought, Newcomb was going to be that guy, right? And, things have changed. He's already down. So they recalled Tookie. Tookie might be one of those guys, but it's hard to know. It really is. So we'll see how it goes. But as of right now, it's... I'm not confident in saying Bryce Elder because I think Bryce Elder's looked really good. And him and Strider have kind of taken, the bull by the horns, and it's been great. Tyler D says, the Reds have looked good just as he suspected. You know what? I'll give you credit. They have looked good. They have looked very good, and I don't mind that. I'm not a Reds fan in the same way that I am a Braves fan, but I keep an eye on the Reds because I have a lot of people that I know that used to play for the Reds. Daryl Cheney and a few others, but Daryl Cheney's probably the closest connection there. Dave Bristol, who I just interviewed, managed the Reds back in the day, and I have a lot of connections through that path. So I keep an eye on the Reds for that reason, right? They're big Reds fans and that kind of thing. And I like Joey Votto. I mean, Jesse Winker was fun to watch last year. By the way, he's currently on my MLB The Show team. But yeah, they've been fun to watch. It's interesting how well they've done based on the predictions, other than yours. I'll say that. So yeah, for sure, they definitely look good. Glad you're here. Glad you've subscribed, and glad you keep coming around, even though you're a Reds fan. By the way, guys, do me a favor. There's 41 of you watching, and I got 13 likes. We're going to have to improve that a little bit. Go ahead and like the channel. Go ahead and like the video, and, of course, subscribe and all that good stuff. Do me that favor, and I will appreciate it. And if you're new here and you like to talk baseball, we do it a lot. So go ahead and subscribe, and, tell me you subscribed, and I'll shout you out. I'll be glad to. Miguel says, hey, Tyler, we can't win games when the entirety of the team do not have plate discipline. We need starting pitchers. No chemistry in the clubhouse. They are distracted by the Freeman departure. I think, you know what? I'll give you that. It's hard. I think, the Freeman departure is a big deal. And I think a lot of people really want to move past it. I want to move past it, to tell you the truth. I've said it 10 times on this channel. I want to move past it. But it's really hard to move past it when you're facing Freddie Freeman, right? It's hard, it's a hard thing to deal with. I don't know if they're distracted by it. I think they've accepted it and moved on, and maybe one or two are distracted by it, but I don't think it's a constant thought. In terms of the chemistry in the clubhouse, I think a lot of the chemistry last year came from Jock Peterson, right? And it's still there in the pen. It's still there in the bullpen to me. It's hard to know. We're not in the clubhouse. Guillermo Heredia, by the way, great follow on any social media. He shows you the inner workings of the clubhouse. I think he's good for the clubhouse synergy, if you want to use that word. In terms of plate discipline, again, shortened spring training. And I'm not going to use that as an excuse for everything. At some point, we're going to have to drop the line. But give it another week, and we'll analyze that. I really think the Braves will be at their best right around the time the Mets series starts. Because, again, you're facing the Marlins next. You're facing the Cubs after that, and then I believe you got the Rangers. 3 tune-up teams, in my opinion, what should be a tune-up team, except maybe the Rangers. I think the Rangers made a lot of improvements, and they're growing. And the Marlins are a pesky team. We all are aware of that. But I think that by the Mets series, you're going to see the Braves team that is in gear, I hope. Right? That's what I would assume based on the current schedule. Jay Becker says, the takeaway is that the Braves can't score runs. Remove the outlier game against Washington, and it's been terrible. Hopefully Acuna changes and injects some energy into this lineup. I don't disagree with you. It's frustrating. It has been frustrating to watch the Braves offense because you know how good the Braves offense has been and how good they could be. I mean, I think Adam Duvall is a very overlooked player. I mean, you're talking about a guy that led in RBIs, I think, last season and had a lot of homers, but he gets overlooked because of how good the Braves lineup is in terms of name value alone, right? Up and down the lineup, right? Eddie Rosario is another one of those guys that's going to get overlooked. If Eddie Rosario flips on a dime, he's going to be very good. Like, I have no doubt about that. And he's got to hit that groove, and he hasn't hit it yet. Ronald Acuna, everybody's talking about Acuna. When Acuna comes back, the lineup's going to take it's going to be a big improvement. I will say this, I really think he's going to hit leadoff. At this point, like, at one point, I was like, well, maybe they've moved on from Acuna hitting leadoff. Maybe he'll be towards the middle of the lineup. No, I think Acuna is going to be leadoff. I think he's going to want to be leadoff. Maybe not immediately, but I definitely think he's going to flood back into that spot. But as of right now, yeah, I think he's your leadoff hitter. But yeah, it's been tough. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It's been tough to watch some nights. Today was obviously one of those days. We didn't score until like the 8th or 9th inning. So it's tough. Again, I think we got to work on scoring early. But also, the Dodgers are a good team, and the Braves have faced some good competition, right? And I think the Reds are a team that are going to get overlooked there. The Braves had the Reds early on, and as Tyler D said earlier, the Reds have performed pretty well this year, surprisingly, in a lot of ways. It's surprising to everybody except Tyler D, obviously. But, the Braves have actually played some pretty good teams. I mean, the Padres, right? I mean, these are not teams that are easy. You're talking about a team of the Padres. By the way, I don't know how I feel about the Motorola thing with the Padres, but that's beside the point. But they're a team that has money to spend, and you look at the Braves' salary compared to the Padres. I mean, these are teams that are meant to compete, and they're teams that are, difficult to beat. And that's who the Braves have had. And again, I would much rather be the Braves where they are than be the Phillies where they are, or the Marlins where they're at. So hopefully the Braves can get some big wins in the next few weeks and get back into a competitive spirit. Max Cruz says we should trade for Miggy. Miggy is currently, according to my phone, one hit away from, what is it? One hit away from 3,000? Is that what it is? based on what I just saw. We're following that as best we can. Yeah, one hit away for 3,000, and obviously we'd love to see that. I'm a Miggy fan. There's a signed jersey in the closet. I've met him. There's a signed helmet up there. I bring it down here every now and then. I'm a big Miguel Cabrera fan. I don't think we should trade for him because I just don't think there's a spot there for him. But we like Miggy at On Deck. We like him a lot. How about Albert Pujols running the bases yesterday? I shared that on Instagram. You know, a lot of my childhood heroes are hitting their latter years in their career, obviously, or have retired by now. But yeah, Albert Pujols running the bases, need for speed. We like to see that. But Mark Narmore says, we need Soroka to be Soroka just as bad as we need Acuna back. I don't disagree, but I don't think it's as needed as you think it is. And the reason I say that is we're not getting Soroka back until at least August. That's where I'm at. Maybe July, but if you're being honest with yourself, you're assuming August, right? So with that said, you know, as much as we'd like Soroka back, I mean, think about what you got, right? You know Max Fried's going to be good. I think last night pretty much solidified that. Charlie Morton's going to figure himself out at some point, whether it be next start or the one after that. He's going to be good by mid-season. Charlie Morton had this same slow start last year, so I'm not worried about it. But those two guys, for sure, are going to be good. So they're two of your starting rotation right there. You got 3 spots, maybe 4 if you want to go to a 6-man rotation. Kyle Wright's looked really good, and I think we all know that. Beyond that, Bryce Elder has looked really good. You got that 5th spot that's still up in the air. You know, the Tucker Davidsons, the Tookie Toussaints, the Waskari Noahs now. You know, and I don't know that Bryce Elder's necessarily solidified himself as a starter, but he's been pretty good. I mean, we all know that. He's been very good. And don't forget about Ian Anderson, of course, taking up, you know, that 3rd spot. So you got Kyle Wright. I think Kyle Wright's your 4th starter. In the 5th spot, you know, Bryce Elder's leading the charge, but it could flip at any point, right, with so many young pitchers. So Soroka, I think, would be good to have. I don't think we can count on him, though. And what I mean by that is I don't think you need to expect him to come in and be Soroka that he was 2 years ago. It's been a long time since he's faced Major League pitching, and, you know, you're betting on a guy to come back after an injury. It's just a lot of variables there that could go wrong. But I don't disagree with you. I would love to see Soroka be who he was at one point, but as of right now, I think you need to focus on who's on the field, who's in the pen, who's in the starting rotation, and hopefully it'll be good. All right, Wilmer, let me not skip you, says Dansby is leading baseball in strikeouts. Dansby has not looked good. I think we're all aware, but we also know that Dansby is a streaky hitter. I mean, he's obviously not trying to do this. He's on a contract year, so you got to think the motivation's there. And I think at some point he's going to get out of this. Maybe, you know, I don't know what the answer is. He just needs some kind of resurgence. He's currently got a 152 batting average with 7 hits, no homers. He's only slugging .239. His on-base percentage is .220. He hasn't been who we were hoping he would be this year thus far. But, guys, we're what? 13, 14 games into the season, maybe. I mean, we're 13 games into the season, and he is leading the league in strikeouts with 21. But I think it's, you know, you gotta just realize how early we are into the season. Realize that it's a short spring training. Some players react well to that. Some players don't. I think he obviously has been one of the ones that didn't, and I don't think it's something that's going to last. So hopefully I'm right, and hopefully Dansby gets out of it. Luke T says, even if Soroka comes back 3/4 of what he was, he's still a top pitcher in the game. Completely agree. We'll see what it is, but don't expect. I think it's just a lot to expect out of Soroka to come in and just make something happen, right? So make something happen. So we'll see what happens. But as of right now, I think again you need to focus on who's on the field because you're going to have to go through at least half a season with just those guys. So we'll see how it ages as of right now. Kenneth says, yeah, Kenneth, sorry, buddy, I can't do this. And I'm just going to say this, guys. I'm done talking about Freddie Freeman and the trade. And I'm done talking about it. I'll be glad to talk about anything else with you, but I'm not going to listen to criticizing a family member of a player. And I just don't think it's how I want to conduct this show. So respectfully, keep it on Twitter if you can. Christopher says, will the Mets cool off and the Braves start to find form in the next series? What's going on with Michael Conforto? You know, you guys have asked a lot about Michael Conforto leading up to the season, and I get it. I think he's still the best free agent out there. But with that said, I don't think he fits the Braves, especially not for the money he wants. I mean, there's a reason he's not on the team right now. It's because he wants too much money for the level of player he is. Michael Conforto is all right. I don't, dislike Michael Conforto. I'm looking up his stats right now so I can kind of read them off and tell you what I mean. But I remember you guys mentioned it, and it caught my attention. It intrigued me, but I wasn't, sold on it. In his career, he's got a 255 batting average, 130 homers across 6 years. But last year, let's look at last year alone, 2021. He's got a 232 batting average, which I don't think the Braves, need a player like this. I just don't. He had 14 homers. To me, this is Eddie Rosario. And, I just don't get it. I don't think there's a spot in the outfield for him. If you want to put him on the bench, sure, I guess. But I just don't see a spot for Michael Conforto. I say let someone else pay him. I just don't see Michael Conforto coming to the Braves. I don't think it makes sense for the team. Personally, I just don't. And again, we'll see. I mean, if it happens, we'll reanalyze and see what I missed. But we'll see. Jake says, oh yeah, Contreras is already down. Oren says, I'm surprised they didn't bring Muller up for Enoa. From what I've read, he's doing very well in AAA. Yeah, Oren, I think the key there is consistent innings. And it's no secret that I like Kyle Muller. It is no secret that I am a Kyle Muller fan. I think the dude's got a very bright future in a Braves uniform, I hope. And I hope we get to watch his career in great detail here in Atlanta. But, I think the key there, again, is consistent innings. And I think that's what they want to get, Huascar. And it may be that next time someone gets sent down, all right, if Bryce Elder gets sent down, it very well may be that Kyle Muller is the guy that pulls out the majority of the innings this year. Because at some point you got to, expect or anticipate, rather, that Bryce Elder or one of these young pitchers is going to struggle, right? Like, a lot of people want to give Strider a chance in the rotation. I don't. I think what he's doing right now is great for this year. Maybe next year, but he's got to get some more pitches under his belt. Right now he's only throwing 2. I think that's great out of the pen. I think it's been successful out of the pen for that reason, because a lot of people don't know it's coming, and then he hits it with 100 miles an hour, no problem, right? Kyle Muller's a guy that I think is your most well-rounded pitcher in the minor leagues for the Atlanta Braves as of right now. Now, if Bryce Elder gets sent down and he gets consistent innings in AAA, you may see this change. You very well may see, Kyle Muller come out and go ahead and head to the major leagues and be consistent. He got called up last year for a reason. This is a guy that I think will be counted on in the future with the Atlanta Braves. But Alex Anthopoulos knows what he's doing. He has a very good indication as to where everybody is, and that's something that we don't have. It's at the end of the day, we only know what they tell us, right? We only know the stats that are out there. We only know so much, and we have to, understand that that's the case. And from what I know is never question Alex Anthopoulos. Don't question, the process, because at the end of the day, guys, I hate to tell you this because you're all very educated and, of course, very knowledgeable about baseball and the Braves, but Brian Snitker knows more than us. He knows more than me. He knows more than you. He knows more than anybody else. He knows his team better than anybody. Alex Anthopoulos does as well. And I think we can question moves all the time and question who needs to come up. But at the end of the day, there is a process behind it. And there is a mentality. There is a plan behind it. So he's doing very well in AAA. I think they want to see him do well in AAA for longer and maybe wait until Bryce Elder goes through a struggle, from 1 or 2 games, and then maybe make that, all right, you got your major league experience, now go back down to AAA, get your consistent innings, learn from it, and then get sent back up. I don't know that Bryce Elder is necessarily being called up to stay up. Now, if he succeeds all year, if it's a thing where he has done well all year long, then yeah, leave him. Don't change it. Don't send him down. Don't make him struggle. but I am anticipating some struggle between either him, Kyle Wright, now Tookie Toussaint, Tucker Davidson, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if Kyle Muller filled that spot. So I agree with you there. Robert Wilson says they aren't distracted. Matt's batting .430 and playing Gold Glove defense. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. Mark says chemistry is the reason Heredia is on the roster. I agree with you, but he also hit a homer the other night, so he's doing all right. Kenneth says we need Ronald Acuna right now, period. As much as I agree with you, I don't want him to come back too soon, right? Acuna is going to come back in his own time, right? Acuna is a very good player that we're all very familiar with, and it's going to be exciting when he returns. But for right now, I think Acuna's best bet is to stay in the minors, make sure he's safe, figure out what his limits are with his injury, and then go from there. Jameson says that today was such a frustrating loss. I think what was frustrating today, Jameson, was the fact that the runs weren't scored. It wasn't so much that the pitching failed on the back end or anything like that. It's just the lineup seemed dead, right? Not until the late innings. It just seemed dead. And nobody could get home. Nobody could get to home plate. And, I think ultimately, that's got to change. I think, when the offense does well, the pitching suits, or the pitching seems to follow, and hopefully it gets better. And like you say, they got to do better at driving in runs when given the opportunity. So, is what it is. Guys, make sure to get your comments in. Make sure to share the video, like the video, all that good stuff. I'll probably be in till about 9:45, and then I'm going to wrap it up. So make sure to get everything in. If you have a comment, I will gladly talk to you, and I'll be here as long as you guys stay here. Let me see. Jamison Taylor says that was great pitching by Max Fried. Yeah, that's something that's not been talked about enough, and I haven't talked enough about it, so I'm going to go ahead and elaborate on it. Max Fried did very well. I'll be honest with you. A lot of times I have to get some sleep, so it's hard for me to watch these games that start at 10 o'clock at night. And I was going to go to bed, especially after the Braves got up, in scoring. I was going to go to bed just because I get up and go to work at 2 in the morning. But I was going to get like maybe an hour or two of sleep. And then I decided, well, I can't go to bed if Max Fried's perfect. So we stayed up as long as he was perfect, and I think we went to bed after he finished his start. That's what you got to do. You can't jinx him. But yeah, he looked great. He looked absolutely phenomenal. And we're obviously Max Fried's kind of the guy that we're believing in for the future of the Atlanta Braves. But as of right now, he's looked really good. Hey, by the way, guys, I want to talk about this for just a second, if I can pull it up. Will Smith will be doing a signing at Ducks Dugout. This is in Marietta, and I know a lot of you guys are in the Marietta area. This is at Ducks Dugout right next to the Cobb Antique Mall. Again, you see the pricing there. If you need more information, go to ducksdugout.com. I will be there, and I would love to meet you, so make your way over there. Even if you don't get an autograph, come say hello to me. I'd appreciate you just doing that. But again, I will be there. It starts around 5:30, and it's a great environment to come get a signing and meet Will Smith. This is the guy that closed the World Series, right? Doesn't get much bigger than that as of right now, and it'll be a fun guy to talk to, and I'm sure to get an autograph from. And it'll be a good little thing to have on your shelf, right? A World Series champ signed baseball. So make sure you're there. Don't be square. I will be there, and hopefully I never have to say that again because that was tough. But yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. So make sure to come, and if you want a picture with me, I'll be glad to do it. If somebody mentioned wanting an autograph from me last night, I guess I'll be willing to do that too. But yeah, again, I will be there. One more time, guys, ducksdugout.com for more information. They have more signings coming up as well. So look forward to seeing you there. I know some of you guys are already planning on going, and I will be there as well. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I know the chat's kind of slowing down, so we're going to wrap it up here in just a few minutes. But before I do, I'm just going to kind of refresh on what I said earlier, and then I'll head out. So again, let's talk about this Dodgers series, right? Because in game one, Blake, that is tomorrow. I must not have said that. That is tomorrow night. Will Smith is tomorrow night, 5:30 p.m. And if you need more information, if nothing else, go to ducksdugout.com. It has all the information about what's coming up. It has all the information about everything you need to know. ducksdugout.com. We are planning on interviewing Will Smith, by the way. So if you have a question for Will Smith, put it in the chat, super chat, and I'll write it down and try to try to ask it if I can, if it's something I can ask, as long as it's appropriate for the interview. I'll be glad to do that. But yeah, if you got a question for Will Smith that makes sense for me to ask, I'll be glad to do it, and I may even shout you out. So put that in the chat if you got it. If not, no worries either. So as of right now, guys, again, I will be there. I'm heading up there. I got to make the drive, but I will be there. So if you have that question, if you have something you just want to get off your mind and tell Will Smith or ask Will Smith, let me know in the chat and super chat it. I will be glad to ask it. I got a few questions I plan on asking, and I'll be glad to do it for you as well. So again, Will Smith, ducksdugout.com. All right, so let's talk about this Dodgers series one last time, and we're probably going to wrap it up right around 9:45. So the Dodgers series that the Braves just had, obviously, tough series, right? The Braves lose 2-1, game one, tough game, and it went kind of as expected. I think it was sort of set up for failure from the get-go because you're facing off a guy who literally just threw 6 perfect innings in the game he pitched prior, and future Hall of Famer and Clayton Kershaw against Huascar Ynoa, who's been struggling all year long and since he came back from his hand injury last year. This results in Sean Newcomb coming in, and I know a lot of folks wanted Sean Newcomb gone. They got their wish. Sean Newcomb has been DFA'd, and that is the current situation as of right now. And, for me, I don't necessarily mind that move. I think it was, something coming for a long time. I think this is sort of the last straw, the last chance for Brian Snitker to give him a shot. And, I understand it. I get the move, and I think it was the right move. I think it's the right move to put Ynoa in AAA and let him get some, work done there and let him try to find some consistency. But for right now, Sean Newcomb and Huascar Ynoa will no longer be on the Major League roster for the Atlanta Braves as of right now. So you move from that, you go to game 2, Max Fried's on the mound, 7 scoreless innings, 5 perfect. I mean, he looked great. That led to a lot of success. Darno started off the runs early, and it continued from there. Takeaways from this series in game 2 were Eddie Rosario hitting the ball again. That's important. Don't skip over that. The offense scored early, and anytime they score early, Chip Carey said it last night, if the Braves score first, they are likely to win, and I agree. I've been noticing, that's something that, I think is good philosophy for any baseball team, to score early. And you have great potential to win the game. So you put a team on the defensive, they get more aggressive, and I think that's a big problem that the Braves have. They get behind early in games, and then the entire lineup is more aggressive to make something happen. And I think the more you score early, the better you set yourself up for success, and hopefully the Braves are able to do that. Game 3 today, a lot of what we've seen all year long so far, a lot of not scoring runs and a lot of, not performing. Hopefully it changes. Hopefully it shifts back to what we know the Braves can do. And as of right now, it's just not the case. It's just not what's going on. And I think at some point it's gotta break. It's got to break what it is, and it's got to move past this. But for right now, it's been very tough. It's been pretty difficult, and the only way it's going to stop is if the Braves, find their groove and get into the right mindset. And as of right now, it just hasn't been the case. So my takeaways, the biggest takeaways, again, Sean Newcomb, Huascar Ynoa sent down and then DFA'd in that order. And to be honest with you, Huascar Ynoa, I think, is going to come back. I think he's going to be what he used to be at some point or another. He's still battling, finding himself after the hand injury. Sean Newcomb, wish him the best, but I think he's done with the Braves, and somebody's going to pick him up. We'll try to keep you updated on that whenever he gets picked up off waivers, because I do think it's going to happen. Beyond that, though, the offense has got to click into gear. The entire lineup's got to click into gear. It's never good to only have the front half of the lineup doing well. It's, those guys get on base and can't get knocked in, right? Matt Olson, I think they said last night before today that Matt Olson had only had 5 opportunities with the guy in scoring position. That's not good. For the guy that's got the leading batting average in the major leagues to only have that many tries to knock somebody in, that's not good. And that's important to show you that the back end of the lineup hasn't been doing well. And I think once you get Acuna back, you replace Acuna with Dickerson. Dansby starts doing well, hopefully. And Rosario, is starting to find himself again, hopefully. So We'll see what happens, but right now it's definitely been a struggle. In terms of starting pitching, I don't think you have any worry there. I think Fried being back to up to speed tells you a lot. I think Charlie Morton will be back up to speed sooner rather than later. And you know what? The back end of the rotation's been a lot better than I thought they were going to be at the start of the year. I thought, that we could count on Fried and Morton. If there's nothing else, we could count on Fried and Morton. But the others I was worried about because there's no guarantee that any of them are going to be, any good. Kyle Wright has struggled. He had the one good appearance in the World Series and a couple of good appearances throughout his career. But overall, his consistency wasn't there. So far this year, I mean, you know what? We're going to take a second. We're going to look up Kyle Wright's stats because I think this guy deserves a lot more credit than it's been given to him. I think he's finally being noticed at this point, but, a lot of folks just sort of expect him to do well. He's been with the Braves since 2018, okay? In 2020, okay, no. In 2019, he pitched 7 games. He had an ERA of 8.69, okay? He had 19 innings pitched. Obviously, not a good year. 2020 he had 38 innings pitched. He had a 5 ERA, okay, in 8 games. He gave up 7 homers in 8 games. 2021, only pitched 2 games, a 10 ERA. As of right now, he's pitched 2 games. He started both of them, pitched 11 innings. He has a 1.64 ERA. He's given up no homers. He's only walked 1. I mean, this is a guy who's turned it around, and that's what's important here. That's what Huascar Ynoa's got to do. And all credit to Kyle Wright. I'm happy he did it. I had a lot of questions for Kyle Wright coming into this year. Big fan of him, was hoping he'd do well, and I think what's happened is he's pitching like himself. He came out and said that he's pitching like he used to in college. He went back to that style that, frankly, worked. And to be honest with you, I can't wait to interview Leo Mazzoni in a couple of weeks and really, digest, everything that's been, going on lately and really pick his brain. This is one of the things I want to ask him about because Kyle Wright came out and said that, yeah, I came up, they taught me a different way, I didn't do as well, and I reverted back to what worked. Guys, that's Leo Mazzoni philosophy right there. I mean, that's simple, what works. Pitchers are all different. They just are. Things that work for Maddox are not going to work for Smoltz, right? There's different pitchers, and things that work for Fried may not work for Kyle Wright. Things that work for Morton may not work for Kyle Wright, but something might click, and he might be elite. And Kyle Wright has been very good, very, very, very good, and it shouldn't be overlooked. And you know what? I owe him an apology because I had a lot of questions for him this year. He's proven me wrong. I thought, this was make or break for Kyle Wright. So far, he's making it. And it makes me feel really good that he's doing this because I think it says a lot for the young pitchers coming up as well because I think it says a lot for what Tucker Davidson can do in the future. I think it says a lot for what Kyle Muller can do in the future. Bryce Elder, Tookie Toussaint even, guys that, even like Tookie who have been up and down much like Sean Newcomb. Guys like that have had potential and not done well, not been consistent. Kyle Wright was in that same boat, and now we're seeing just a little bit of, oh, that guy's actually pretty good. I think it says a lot about how the Braves pitching staff can turn around as a whole. And Kyle Wright has proven me wrong. He's proven a lot of other folks wrong. And I'm not going to say that I had lost faith in Kyle Wright. That wasn't the case at all. But I said that I was worried about him being a guy that we're just assuming to be on starting rotation based on what we've seen in previous years. I wanted to see him kind of work his way there. And you know what? He worked his way there in the offseason. We didn't get to see it. But I'll gladly take it. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe he's got 2 wins under his belt as of right now. No, he's got 1 win under his belt. He's got a 1-0 record. But you know what? I'll take the 1.64 ERA any day of the week. And, that's all you can ask for. I don't care if he's the best pitcher in the major leagues. I care if he's one of the best pitchers in the National League East, and right now he's been pretty much unhittable. So he has started strong, he's done well, and I'm happy to say that he has. And I think that's one of the biggest takeaways from the early part of this year is him as a whole. Him specifically, Kyle Wright, is he's the lifeblood of the starting rotation right now. Fried is too, Morton is too, but Kyle Wright has been phenomenal. He has given new life into the back end of that rotation. I think that's important, and it shouldn't be overlooked. All right. Blake says, I said this about Luke last year with his struggles. Start strong, and look what has happened. I said the same thing about Kyle this year, and so far he's done it. He says hashtag Kyle Wright writes the script. You know what? I obviously like Kyle Wright. There's very few Braves that I just don't like. As a person, very few of them are bad people. Most of them are pretty nice. But Kyle Wright was nice enough to record that intro for me and hopefully give me an interview soon. But you know what? I can't help but root for the guy. I just can't. And look, I know there's some fans out there that remember that NLCS game in 2020. I was there, okay? It was awful. It stunk. Gosh, it stunk. Imagine flying out to Texas for your team to get shelled, okay? It stunk. But we've moved past that. You can't blame somebody for that because at the end of the day, he wasn't ready. I think he would tell you, if you ask Kyle Wright right now, was he ready? He would tell you no. If you ask Brian Snitker, guess what he's going to say? No, but he was one of the very few options that we had at that time with that team. So I think it says a lot about the future of the Braves that they're having pitchers like this turn out well. I mean, he's kind of a pleasant surprise himself. I talked about Spencer Strider being a pleasant surprise this year, coming out of the minors, being able to do what he's done so far. Just right out of the minors. But Kyle Wright's been his own version of that. And he's been good, and it's been nice to see. Corey Carter's tuning in. We always appreciate a good comment from Corey. He says, what makes me feel good about guys like Wright and Enoa is that we have seen them do it before. Young pitchers struggle with consistency. We have to be patient. Yeah, I think a lot of fans are reactionary. I try not to be. I have my thoughts, on certain games, and I'm not gonna lie to you and say that I don't react in emotion. I mean, I'm a fan myself, so I definitely have that. But at the same time, I try not to be so hard on somebody for what they've done in the past or what the struggles of consistency and that kind of thing. There's fans out there that want Brian Snitker fired for one mistake, right? Get out of here. I'm not into that. It's just not my philosophy. And I think you have to go into it with that mindset of taking what they give you, taking what what happens in front of you, analyzing it and looking to say, okay, well, what's the philosophy behind it? Why are they doing this? And I think when you do that, you understand the game a little bit more. And I think you appreciate the thought behind it because there's a lot of thought that goes into this. This isn't just 9 guys on a baseball field for no reason. There's reasons they're there. Dickerson is not there because he's the best fielder we got. He's not there because he's the best hitter we got. He is there purely out of circumstance, right? He did well in spring training. We don't have that many bench bats. It just is what it is. We're waiting on Acuna to come back. It's circumstantial. Kyle Wright was in the NLCS because it was circumstantial. We didn't have Soroka, right? We didn't have much of a pitching staff in general anyway, and then we lost Soroka. And somehow or another, we found our way to the NLCS that year. Almost took down the Dodgers. That's for another day. But a lot of it is circumstantial. And I think when you really follow the team, like frankly I do, like you probably do, certain things that a casual fan doesn't. I have friends that watch this every now and then. They tune in. They're not, they're casual fans. And they wouldn't appreciate me saying that, but they're casual fans. They don't follow it to a T like we do, right? And I have to break it down for them, and they get mad. They're like, I have a buddy, I'm not going to drop his name because sometimes he watches, but I have a buddy that wanted Brian Snitker fired so bad a couple years ago. So bad, especially after the NLCS loss. He wanted him fired so bad. And it's like, buddy, he just won 2 Manager of the Year awards. Obviously they know more than you. So, you know what I mean? It's just, there's some logic missing there. But I think a lot of fans are like that. And I try to bring you a more balanced approach. I try to find why the Braves do what they do, why the Braves feel the way they do about certain individuals. Why are they high on certain guys and not others? I really try to find that. And when I do, I think I have a pretty good pulse on what the Braves are doing. That's why, look, I told you months ago I don't think we're going to get Michael Conforto. He's still on the market. We haven't gotten him. Nobody else has gotten him. There's a reason for that, right? It's circumstances. A 232 batting average is not going to bring in $20 million to a player. Not for me, it's not, and I don't think it is for Alex Anthopoulos either. So I think when you bring that balanced approach to dissecting a team or dissecting really anything, it creates a more, frankly, accurate representation of what's going on, and it also creates a more, logical thought process. So that's how I feel about it. But yeah, I agree with you. I think patience is key there, Corey. I know I've kind of rambled on here, but I definitely feel like. That's true. And you add on, I want to make sure I get this in, You add on, I still feel like we moved too early on Bryce Wilson. I'm not even finished with Tookie. I agree with you. Tookie's one of those guys that I think can be great, and I think with consistency he'd be great. He just hasn't had it yet. And he's had these little moments where it's like, yeah, he's there. Tookie's finally showing what he's made of, and then he just hasn't. I'm with you. I think Tookie's still got more left in the tank. There's a reason he got called up. He does well in AAA. It just hasn't translated to the majors. And there's a reason for that. The major leagues are hard. There's a reason, man, you can't go on the mound and pitch 9 innings. There's a reason for that, right? It's freaking difficult. It just is. And I think a lot of people are watching the Braves on their couch. All due respect, I watch it on mine too. But a lot of people are watching it on their couch, and they're giving their opinions. I call it armchair managing. And I don't think you can do that. I really think you got to listen to what the manager is telling you. You got to trust your manager and realize if Brian Snit says, hey, there's a reason we put Newcomb in the 4th inning, there's a reason for it. We're down 3, and we don't want to waste Matzik, Mintzer, on this game that we may not even win, and especially when we still have 2 games in the series coming up. There's a reason for that. You got to plan for the days ahead, too. It's a marathon, not a race, so I personally, or marathon, not a sprint. It is a race. But, yeah, I'm not finished with Tookie either. In terms of Bryce Wilson, I want to say we traded him in the Richard Rodriguez trade, didn't we? Is that right? I want to say that's right. I believe we did, if I'm not. Yeah, so it was a 3-player deal. Bryce Wilson was traded to the Pirates. I want to say it was for Richard Rodriguez. If I'm not, I'm pretty sure. Let's see. Okay, but I will say this. So that's what we traded for. We traded him for Richard Rodriguez. And as much as I agree with you, because look, I thought Bryce Wilson could be a starter. I don't know what he's done this year, but I thought with the Braves, he could very well find himself. I think they took what they could get. You know what? The Pirates might have just wanted him for Richard Rodriguez. And to be fair to the Braves, there wasn't a lot of bullpen guys out there. And that was our biggest question mark, or one of our biggest question marks, somehow or another, leading into the postseason, or into the second half of the season. And Richard, even though he's, stuff's come out lately about PEDs and everything, Richard steadied the bullpen in a lot of ways. And it's overlooked. It's not something that you're going to see very much talked about because he wasn't on the World Series roster. But he was he was good, and he was good when we got him. And this trade made sense when we did it. For perspective here, Bryce Wilson's got a 5.40 ERA. He's only got 8 innings pitched this year for the Pirates. So it's not like he's necessarily knocking down doors, but I get what you're saying, right? It's not what he's doing. It's what he could have been with the Braves. And I completely understand that. But I also think that we had to make a move there. At least we felt like we did. And it made sense when Anthopoulos did it at the deadline or shortly before. I thought it made sense, but I agree with you. I'm not finished with Tookie yet. I think he can still be a lot better than what he is right now. Let's see. I got to move on, though. Jameson says, yeah, that is the Kyle Wright that we all thought we were going to get. I mean, Jameson, the dude was good at Vandy, right? I mean, he was really good at Vandy. And I think he's pitching like he did at Vandy in a lot of ways. And, that's what we want to see. But hopefully it continues. Courtney Conaway, if Acuna is playing the outfield, hitting the ball hard, stealing bases in AAA, why isn't he in Atlanta? Well, Courtney, it's been about a year since he played in the majors. I think they just want to make sure that he is doing well. They want to give him some opportunities to get tuned up with low risk situation and give him the best opportunity to improve. I also think they don't want to push him too hard just yet. And I know that, it's easy to, I get what you're saying, trust me, because I think a lot of people are thinking this. I appreciate you asking the question. But I do think it's easy for us to, baseball's not that hard. You're not running hard like in football, but, maybe let's just say there's a line drive, middle of the field, and he's running full speed for it, and he re-tears, whatever, right? He might not do that. He might not be so keen to doing that in the minor leagues or running hard. In terms of stealing bases, they're testing him out. They want to know what his limitations are, and I think that's the best way to put it. But I agree with you, and that's why I think it's going to be sooner rather than later. I think May 6th is a good approximate a good estimate of where it's going to be. Jameson says, okay, fans, remember the great performances the car rated in the thousands. Sorry, I'm lost you. Yeah, I'm sorry, buddy. I can't pick up on what you're trying to ask me there. Blake says a lot of the sticker idea came from when the Hawks and Falcons got McMillan and Arthur Smith, and it flipped switches. Just the fans saw it with other teams. Yeah, I get it. Matthew, Tyler, do you remember when Frank Wren paid PJ up to $75 million and then he changed his name to Melvin and became terrible? Did Frank Wren and the Braves pay for a BJ but only get a Melvin? Matthew, my dad would really like talking to you. I remember, I'll just tell you this. I was a kid. I was probably 11 or 12 whenever that was going on. We went to the Braves game, and this was back at Turner Field. We used to park at the Comfort Inn right outside the field, and we'd walk into that gate. We're standing outside the gate waiting for it to open, and none other than Chipper Jones's dad is out there. I don't know it's Chipper Jones's dad, but my dad does somehow or another. Anyway, my dad listens to him talking. He's told me this. I remember this happening, but again, I didn't know who it was. I just thought it was some older gentleman, talking about his opinions of the Braves. And I wasn't listening. But what was said, I remember asking Dad, if that was Chipper Jones' dad, what did he say? This was about 2 years ago that I asked this. And he was talking about Chipper wanting the Upton brothers. And, of course, Chipper never played with them, but they wound up picking them up the year after Chipper retired. And I just thought that was interesting because, of course, we know how it wound up. B.J. Upton was good. I don't know if he was $75 million good, but there's no way really to predict that. B.J. definitely fell off. I remember Chipper trying to work with him and try to improve it, and it just never did. Justin was always really good with the Braves. I know he's where he's at right now, but he was always really good with the Braves. I thought he was more than suitable in the outfield, and he was a good player. But BJ obviously had his struggles for sure, and the Melvin that followed wasn't that great at all. I haven't thought about that in a long time. I appreciate that question. Richard Davis, like I have said before, the Braves can't wait very long for a young pitcher to get it together. The division is better now. As much as I agree with you, Richard, I think the division is following the Braves because, again, even though the Mets are up there, even though the Mets are winning the division, I don't think they're confident that they're going to stay there. Because, again, look who you're playing next, right? You got the Marlins, and you got the Cubs, and then you got the Rangers. The Mets, I don't know what they got. I mean, they're playing the Giants right now. They're losing 5-1, so the Braves are only going to be 3 games back at that point. They're not as far up as you might think. I mean, the division's better, but the Phillies are 1-5. They're 1-5. Is that what they are? Let me see. The Phillies are. Let me see. Oh, I'm sorry, I misspoke. They were 1-5 away. They total they are 5-8. So the Phillies are in last place with 5-8. The Marlins are 4-6. The Braves are 6-8. The Nationals are 6-7, and the Mets are 9-3. They're only going to be 3 games back today, right? The Nationals are leading over the Braves by half a game, but they also haven't played one, so who knows where that goes. But look at it. The Phillies, to me, were going to be the most competitive team outside of the Mets, right? The Mets were the only team that I really thought was going to be competitive, and now the Phillies are even in last place. The only team I think you got to worry about is the Mets. And at the end of the day, when it comes to the Mets, oh, snap, we got a big update. I just read the chat. Thank you to Chase Van Scoy. I hope I'm getting your name right. Jesse Chavez is back with the Atlanta Braves. Oh my goodness. All right, I got a major tweet. The Braves tonight acquire right-handed pitcher Jesse Chavez and cash considerations from the Chicago Cubs in exchange for left-handed pitcher Sean Newcomb. Atlanta's 40-man roster is now full. So Sean Newcomb is officially a Chicago Cub, and Jesse Chavez is officially back with the Atlanta Braves. Let's look up Jesse Chavez's stats for this year because I'll be honest with you, I have not looked at him in the slightest. So let's go look at that. I don't know how well he's done or how bad he's done. We're about to find out. Right now he's got a 6.35 ERA across 3 games and 5 innings. He's got 3 strikeouts. I don't know what those appearances look like, though, so it's kind of hard to know. But we know who Jesse Chavez is, and I think back in the bullpen with Braves might be the best place for him. And I definitely think he's more suitable for the Braves. We got cash back for this. Oh, my goodness. See, guys, this is Alex Anthopoulos at work. The Braves only had a few days to trade Sean Newcomb, and they've managed to do it, which I thought somebody was going to pick him up. I didn't think in my slightest dreams did I think Jesse Chavez was going to be what we got back for that. I thought maybe cash and that'd be it. But we got paid to take Jesse Chavez along with Sean Newcomb. So, yeah, that's nice, I guess. This is good. This is this is what we needed, because I've been wondering who's going to be the long relief guy, who's going to be the guy that can cover multiple innings, and Sean Newcomb wasn't doing it. I think Jesse Chavez is a great addition. I think this is awesome. And I'm sure you guys do too. I appreciate you letting me know. Great job, Double A. Sean Newcomb is officially not an Atlanta Brave for sure. I appreciate that. I saw the notification pop up, but I didn't look at it. So I appreciate you guys letting me know that in the chat. Thank you to Chase. I really do appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Yeah, this is awesome. So now I got to divert. Because this is big news. We've been talking about the Dodgers and that series, but we're looking ahead. This is good. This is very good news, because we have not had someone who can cover long innings. This is something that this is something that I think is great. I think this is, again, so this is, Josh Tomlin was the guy last year that covered a lot of innings, and you can tell me what you're feeling about Josh Tomlin. I don't care, but Jesse Chavez is great. I like Jesse Chavez in that spot. I really like this. This is great by Double A. According to William Fogum, his contract is $750,000, so we get cash. It's a win. This is great. Absolutely phenomenal job by Double A. No matter how this turns out, this is a phenomenal job, and I think it's addressing a need when it needed to be addressed, right? I think we can all agree there. This is the right move at the right time. It's not like the Cubs, were necessarily doing a whole lot with him, so this is nice. Courtney Conaway says one mop-up guy for another. In a way, but I would much rather take this. I would much rather take this mop-up guy over the other, and I hate to say it. I mean, look at this guy. How can you not love this guy right here? How can you not like that guy? This is awesome. I love this. I think this is great. Obviously, part of the World Series team last year. Hated to see him go. I understood when he did, but if we're gonna trade Newcomb anyway, let's get something back for it, and we just did. So Matthew says that the Braves should have never let the Cubs sign Chavez. League minimum minor league deal. Why didn't we just sign Chavez instead of one of the other minor league relievers like Brad Beach? I don't necessarily disagree with you. I think they, this is much like the Duvall thing. I mean, they only got so much money. But this is, hang on, Jameson. This is great. So to answer your question, Matthew, in terms of the Braves should have never let the Cubs sign Chavez, league minimum minor league deal. Why didn't the Braves just sign Chavez? Well, think about it, right? You went to arbitration with Newcomb, which means you got to pay him more, and you knew what you're going to get out of him. They probably didn't want to do it. They kept the price low, and now they're getting them, and they're getting more money for it. So, as Jameson says, this is highway robbery once again. So this is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, this is I think it's great by Double A, and I don't know how you guys all feel about it, but I think it's absolutely great. I got to share this on share the stream, guys. Share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook. I'm going to be here a while, maybe another 20 minutes or so. We're going to talk about Jesse Chavez for a little while, because this is big news, and I think I'm sharing it now and letting everybody know we're still here. So make sure you share, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you can stay updated with everything going on here at On Deck, and of course with the Atlanta Braves. If you guys aren't subscribed, I would appreciate it. Also, because we're talking about bullpen help, let's talk about a bullpen guy that you guys should all go meet tomorrow night. Will Smith. He is doing a signing at Ducks Dugout tomorrow night. I will be there, and this is the guy that, we're talking about bullpen help. This is the guy that closed out the World Series. You see the prices. It starts at $530. This is in Marietta, Georgia. If you want more information, go to ducksdugout.com, and I'm sure you'd love to be there as much as I'm going to love to be there tomorrow night. I will be there. Of course, come say hello if you know me. If you don't know me, come say hello either way. I don't care. But yeah, so let's continue to talk about Jesse Chavez. So I'm going to pull up the tweet one more time. Tonight, the Braves acquired right-handed pitcher Jesse Chavez and cash considerations from the Chicago Cubs in exchange for for left-handed pitcher Sean Newcomb. Atlanta's 40-man roster is now full. So once again, tonight, the Braves acquired right-handed pitcher Jesse Chavez and cash considerations from the Chicago Cubs in exchange for left-handed pitcher Sean Newcomb. Atlanta's 40-man roster is now full. This is a great move by Alex Anthopoulos, an absolute masterclass by Alex Anthopoulos. This is absolutely phenomenal. We all know how great Alex Anthopoulos can be as a general manager, and he has shown his colors once again. For perspective, it's been asked, why didn't we just re-sign Chavez? Guys, we just got a better deal because we no longer have Sean Newcomb. We traded Sean Newcomb, and we got Chavez back. Maybe we should have never let him go, and I get that. Maybe we should have never let him go, and I get that. But at the same time, guys, this is a phenomenal move. We addressed the move when it needed to happen, and I think it's great. I think it's, again, absolutely phenomenal. And you know what? Maybe there's more moves, after this. I don't know. But as of right now, this is, again, a great move. And Alex Anthopoulos continues to impress and continues to do a great job as the Braves general manager. And I can't say enough about how well he's done already. And you know what? How well he'll continue to do. And this is why I think, a lot of people are talking about all the problems with the Braves. This is where it gets addressed. These little moves are a lot bigger than you think. The starting rotation, right? Everybody thinks we need to go get starting pitchers. Then you do a move like this, and it's like, oh, wow, this is great. And I do think this is great. No matter what happens, no matter what happens, I think this is an absolute great move. Even if Chavez doesn't work out, you're trading a piece anyway. You have to get rid of Sean Newcomb. Not only are you getting a piece back, but they're also bringing cash considerations in. I mean, this is phenomenal. I mean, you're trading, another man's trash is another man's treasure. I'll just say it. And I think this is absolute greatness by Alex Anthopoulos. So can't say enough about it. Love this move. Glad we were here live to react to it, and glad you guys tuned in for it. So we really do appreciate it. Let's talk about what you guys want to talk about it, though. Jackson, I hope I just refreshed your memory. I hope you just understood everything that just went down. A lot went down in like 3 minutes there, but I'm glad, again, that we were on the air for it. Corey Carter says Chicago is a good spot for Newcomb. The guy is stuff that just didn't play in Atlanta. Like the trade for Atlanta, Chavez was important to us, even off of the field. Shocking how far Nuke's stock fell. I think this, that's the thing. That's why this move is so great. As far down as it fell, it got you Jesse Chavez back, right? And it added to the pin once again. I wish we could have potentially got a good lefty, but I'll take Jesse Chavez any day of the week. Jameson says, we know what Jesse Chavez can do for us. Yes, we do, sir. This has been great. And I think, maybe he's a mop-up guy, whatever. He's a veteran, and that can't be overlooked. He is an absolute veteran, and I think it's great. Now, Richard Davis is going to bring us back to reality here. He said, let's not go crazy about the Chavez deal. He will be better than Newcomb, but that's not saying a lot. As much as I agree with you, right, this is a much better mop-up guy than Newcomb. And right now he's projected to have an ERA of around 2. That's spring training. I thought it was projected. In spring training, he had a 1.8 ERA, so he had a pretty good spring training with 10 innings pitched. But in 2021, let's look at those stats, shall we? In 2021, he had an ERA of 2.14 as opposed to Newcomb. I'll gladly take that. I think Chavez can be really good, and again, I think it's important what he does off the field just as much as what he does on it. So this is great to me. Say what you want. I get it's not exactly, newsworthy necessarily, but for Braves fans, this is great. This is a great move, and it's going to be an underappreciated move, but not by me. I think it's great. And like you say, he can throw strikes. So guys, I think this is actually a really good place to end the stream. I think we're going to do that. One more time, Jesse Chavez back with the Braves. Phenomenal move by AA. I love this move by AA. I hope I answered all your questions. If you have one now, make sure to super chat it the next 10 seconds, and I'll be glad to answer it. But as of right now, we're going to end the stream. Before we go, one last time, Will Smith will be signing autographs tomorrow night in Marietta, Georgia. Ducks Dugout. It's right near the Cobb Antique Mall on Canton Road. You see the prices here. It's a great opportunity to meet a World Series champion and the guy that closed out the World Series last year with Will Smith. I will be there, and I'll be glad to meet you, talk baseball with you, whatever you want. I'll be glad to do that with you. If you want more information, ducksdugout.com, tomorrow night, 5:30. Tomorrow night, 5:30 p.m. So I will be there. And it's been a fun stream, guys. I can't say enough. It's been an absolute a fun stream. But you know what? I'm happy to have Jesse Chavez back. Glad we're seeing some changes made, and maybe it'll bring a bit of a lift, right? To know that you got Jesse Chavez, if need be, to be a long reliever. So great move by Alex Anthopoulos. Great move by the Braves. And I am heading out, guys. That's going to be the end of the stream. I hope I got all your questions answered. Glad to react to the Jesse Chavez deal. I think that's phenomenal. And glad we could talk baseball with you tonight as well. We will not be here tomorrow night. Of course, I'll be in Atlanta, hopefully getting an interview with Will Smith. But I will be here probably Friday night, I would assume. I'm going to answer these questions, I promise, guys. But real quick, I got to get through the schedule for this week, and then I'm out. So, tomorrow night, not be here, but I will be interviewing Will Smith to get you some content. Friday night, I'll more than likely be back on a stream, depending on what time the Braves play. I want to say they play at 7. We may do a post show after that, a post game after that, rather. We may do that, but I'll post on the community page. If you ever wonder if I'm doing a stream, I always post it that morning of on the community page to let you guys know. But yeah, so to answer these questions, Jose, yes, I'm heading out. I appreciate it. Appreciate you tuning in. Sorry you tuned in so late. Turn on notifications so that you know when I go live. I go live all the time, so make sure you got notifications on. Matthew says, Tyler, I will pay for Will Smith to slap me. I'm into that kind of, oh my gosh. He says he'll sign a waiver. Maybe he'll plunk you with a baseball. Richard says, get off the Annie Swanson ride. Sorry. He and Rosario are looking better these past couple of games. Completely agree. That's a great thing to finish on there, Richard. Jose says, how did we get Chavez back? I like him. Here, I'll just read the tweet to you one last time, and then I'm done talking about Chavez because I've got to wrap it up, guys. I got to get going. I got somewhere to be in the next few minutes. I hate to say because I love talking to you, but I got somewhere I got to go. All right. Sorry, guys. I thought it would be right on my homepage, but apparently there it is. All right. Let's see. All right. The Braves tonight acquired right-handed pitcher Jesse Chavez and cash from the Chicago Cubs in exchange for Sean Newcomb. Atlanta's 40-man roster is now full. So we DFA'd Sean Newcomb. We had to trade him in the next few days. We did it to the Cubs and got Jesse Chavez back. We lost no money. We lost no major prospects. We lost hardly anything to get Chavez, and I think it's great. I think it's absolutely great. Corey Carter, hey Tyler, how did you feel about the Freddie interview with Kelly Krull? It hit me in the feels. Yeah, it hit me too. To tell you the truth, I kind of prepared for it. I had a little bit of I just had to get a distance from it. But yeah, it's definitely tough seeing Freddie leave for sure. Let me see. Matthew says, Tyler, Marietta isn't Atlanta. I was born in Marietta and I live in Atlanta now, almost an hour away. 45 minutes. Come on. Don't be so lame. It's not that far. I'm coming from Columbus. Shut up. I'm coming from Columbus. You can deal with it. Corey says, could be interesting to see Tyler interview the slapping Will Smith. I don't know if I'd be very comfortable doing that, to tell you the truth. I'd rather interview Chris Rock as of right now. Yeah, I feel like, to me, as a guy that lives in Columbus, Marietta, Atlanta, it's all encompassing to me. I got to drive 2 hours no matter what anyway, so it doesn't really much matter. Last question. All right, you're the last question, Jose. You're it. Who will have more homers this year, Olsen or Freeman? Matt Olsen. I'll put money on it. Matt Olsen. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up. We do appreciate you guys. If you're new here, if you just tuned in, I'm sorry we're wrapping it up, but we got to. Like the video on your way out. Like the video while you're still watching. And, of course, subscribe to the channel. If you're like Jose and you tuned in late, turn on notifications so that you know when we go live. Okay? Know when we go live. Share the video. Share it with your friends. Tell everybody we're here. We're trying to broaden out to a broader audience. Get more Braves fans in on the action of On Deck. Got some content coming your way. Again, interviewing Will Smith tomorrow night. You can go there too. It'll be at Ducks Dugout. Here's the pricing. Again, make sure you're there. It'll be a lot of fun. And I think you don't want to miss it for sure. Again, the pricing's right here. More information, ducksdugout.com, Marietta, Georgia, tomorrow night, 5:30 p.m. I will be there. I'll be glad to talk baseball with you. If you missed out on a question tonight, I'll talk baseball with you tomorrow at Ducks Dugout. So hopefully you're there, and thank you, Matthew. I appreciate that. With that said, guys, we're going to tune out, and I'll see you later right here at On Deck.